big, as a refrigerator, Hitchcock errors. But like if you watch an old film and listen, they spend a lot of time doing it. But nowadays, we can make a smartphone. Samsung film is 4K. It's absolutely amazing. With all this technology, how do we shoot things? How do we, so somebody tells the structure of, this is the test structure. No, the screenplay. You guys learn? You guys? All right, a lot more than that. No. But does anybody know how to come up, where do stories come from? How do you go about brainstorming? Or individual? Now, brainstorm about it. Get it's from life itself. That's general. It's actually very true. Okay, there's a lot more than that. Now, first of all, is what else? Tells a story, good. Lessons in what? Anything, right? That's good. Now, before movies were invented, before books were invented, cavemen in caves,
hunt animals.
We're not painting a beautiful woman. That's their
Documents.
right. So they, how the next generation wouldn't have to, well, 2,000 years later. Now, we could look at hunting and all. Movies still, just talking about stories around this one form, story form, right? Hey, they instruct us to do things. We all have it. Don't you like friends all the time? Whatever. You need to hear a story. It's interesting because maybe you already do now. Life is very hectic. We might have this. We don't know. There's no structure in a way, in a sense that can make sense. But movies have a way to think, to feel a certain way, have the power to make sense of our own right. So when we see a movie, it's not because, well, maybe it is. The Avengers. But movies, a lot of times, if I people in it, if I would what they go through, and when they're scared, we're scared. And in fact, you guys haven't watched a lot of movies. You guys like scary movies? Wow. You're gonna have a fast. Great movies have come about. But what scary is not by, if we can identify when Sixth Sense, we were scared for that little boy, you have people as well. And so through him, they're weird. So we have to make stories that now, first of all, with a story. I write the tagline yet, a long line. It's possible to see every movie. I try to, than anybody I know, which is like really crazy. Film is I didn't tell you, I was born here in Hong Kong, but I left. So English is my native. More importantly, we have a love for, you'll meet a lot of people who study English, or behind the scenes, it's big in the world. Just a second. Because I go up in the town, see a movie every weekend, movie coming out. It's a big early, we buy our, and if it's a big movie, on the block. That's right. Big movie, we'll stand around the block. Because everywhere else in Hong Kong, you reserve in line to serve. So we want, and we cheer, we yell, we're like texting while they watch. There's a certain admiration when it's good. It's so inspired to do it ourselves. I was talking about log lines. As to start brainstorming, because from this movie site, movie database, I am actually any movies, any names in here already not done it, or I'm in here, unless they took it off. You'll look out. It's an old movie I did in first round. I wrote it. Most of it. This place is treasure trove, and anyone that movies now take a look at the time. Look at these and see which one they did right there. This is a new movie out. Captain Phillips, Richard Phillips, and the two Somali pilots fight MV. First American cargo ship 30 years. Because it has a video character in it, and obviously this ship is being hijacked and get out. So thus pretty much imagine how, right? 5-minute movie. Fantastic. This will give you what your idea is. So you know, like, oh, this one looks cool. Machete 2. Battle to take down an armed dealer to launch a weapon. This is right, but eventually, you know, they're pushing to make this ultra. Anyway, all right. But however, it has everything. Okay? The hero. You have battle bad guys through Mexico, the arms dealer, right? So he has to stop them. So they're what's important? Less than 2 seconds. So the less, the better. That's your central theme. Your central theme. You know, and find which one you want. That I'm definitely this. Have you ever seen Gravity yet? Gravity is cool. The medical engineer and an astronaut after an that leaves them interest. It's a really cool thing. So, anyway, we were talking about earlier how to ideas for movies, for short, whatever. How do you think what's cool, what you saw, or what it is, what inspires you guys?
Videos on YouTube, like I see.
Oh, okay. Viral video now. I wish I could show you sometime. When you have time, when you get that one. Maybe we have time. One viral video. What's that? Just the other day, this is actually a new horror movie that's coming. And Carrie is about his kinetic powers. And it's a remake back in this, based on a Stephen. Here's a promotion of what gets you guys enticed. I have no. I'm using my. All right, we're not going to get them. I invite you guys to go to this. It's called Creative TV. It's actually from my University. I post a lot of stuff in here, and the students they contribute. Inside with a lot of viral. So let's put it on. I'm going to have this creative process. You might think like creativity is this something? Does anybody believe that? You believe that? You believe that? Going through everybody, according to Arthur, who wrote the creative side of our. So you know. Okay, what's 1 + 1? Right, but we're thinking, you know, story, and then this is on the right side. Right? Scientific, we'll leave that alone. It is everybody, and been my job for many years, you know, people who, and it's been so surprising as well. We get, I think, but you know, I was when I was messing with the Twilight Zone. I don't know if anyone has the white version of those. I think they're on YouTube. So fascinated by that show and how design. But I never thought. But then it became my passion and so found doing stuff. But when I'm at that age, younger than you, you're 17. Wow. Wow. For age, I was writing the screenplay, but they were all from kind of like lumped together, fried rice, or just put everything in. So after a year lessons or whatever, and by the way, that once you become a film student, even though I've been teaching for a long time, learning the whole time as well. So here's what I got. There is a process of creativity you can use. Okay, it might not be right, but something this might help. I'm going to leave you with words, starting with, you know, give you guys as gifts. The 5 I's that creates that you can all do when you're trying to write a story. It doesn't have to be just for screenwriting. Anything, you know, any projects that with people or even like, okay. So, I mean, there's no order. None of them is more important, but they all work together. Is introspection. Introspection is something kind of looking in yourself. Something that's good, if you don't know what good is. What's good if you don't know, and how do you know about yourself? Right? Act of looking in is the creative feeling, and it's hokey, but because good translator or like we could cry Toy Story, maybe your girlfriend's or that's a cartoon, right? You might, you know, here's movie about time. So on what movies, right, and that argument about it. So what moves you, excites you, is the creative process. Okay? That's choosing. That often have to draw on our person. A lot of times we like what our parents, because they, this is a lot in many ways. Amazing how much look like your mom. Get to that. That's how I'm putting the fear in them. It's so strange though. In fact, it wasn't so much that when he dragged me in, very scary movie. For I think 4. They were finally. I'm an adult now, and so this is really how things affect me. So it's very important. Next one, okay, is a reflection of humanity. Hard, right? You ask them 100, and they'll give you 100. Oops. Art. One definition of art is, but it's not. There's a big image. Interpretation comes with, and without that, interpretation. Okay. If it isn't, then it's just right. So an art of now humanity is human form, but whatever it is. So there's a whole spectrum of that. I saw a film about a documentary about a kill trainer. 2 astronauts, a guy who could travel his life about time. Who thought he died, but he was well. But anyway, so you see how tell the story totally. What's inquiry is we have basically research, what you tackle. You want to convince you what you know, right? So when you're boring and college setting, right, you research. What is it from school? What are the class films there? All right, so otherwise, think you're forward. How many movies that we've seen, this doesn't look right. This is not true. That's not what we do. And so you want inquiry, ask and do your research. Well, one time it took me, and it took me, but researching the subject, you learn things that you didn't know before. That totally the subject for you. Okay, for that. Because you want to share with people. Inquiry is important. Okay? Intuition will take time for you guys, but the ability to know things without process. Either simplicity.
He doesn't go that far.
Oh, remember.
Something like
Some of the words.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right away. So now. That's all. That's what all directors have. Do take when they're working with that. Everybody else in the team. He's presented with, and he has to make that change that. It's very quick. And it's what you just said before, and inquire. Immediately, you know that's not right. And if you know preference, you have a vision, you have a shot it or whatever that is. Your intuition will tell you. So it's a very pure intellect together. So this is what you need to do. This is something I must tell you. Writing is not I say, yay, you're done. Because it's not it's for you guys, right? And what happens is I would work possible. I put it away. Mostly or I do something like a movie with a day or hours that thing again. Try to pretend it's else's work. Just improve it, try to do better. Okay. Off pure, like insurance and everything. You don't really like it or something. You come back and you're writing creativity. The ideas that you wrote, that those sounds good the next morning. Right? So, okay. One way of enticing, really finding, okay, you got to clear your desk. Take a walk or something. Free intuition if we into something, right? Right. But that happens. Once you're comfortable, okay with pressure, totally okay with pressure, to give them something. In fact, this morning, at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I do it in 10 minutes. I'm like, kidding you? Yeah, black guys, don't stay in school. A lot of pressure, right? So, intuition, self-explanatory. Number 4, okay, and a lot of other projects, you know, and like a lot of people. Like, people are in groups, 3 or 4, there we go. And you'll have between your heads, first of all, bring that creative brainstorming. It sucks. Most would say it because they're afraid there'll be establish that creative, with constructive comments, not to, you know, when you're thinking. You don't want to lie to your, so you want to be constructive, try to understand and try to say, oh, but what if we did that instead of, you know, or you know, you write a word. Yeah, that's very interesting, right? So do that. Okay, to have that is why 2 heads are better than 1. Same, so have the result is so when you have something that was a great idea and share it with your team, they don't understand. That's okay. This is what the time in. I've talked to some even professional filmmakers. What are you trying to do there? I was trying to tell about, you know, the work. That's not there. We get that. We don't know how to express it. Wrong. That itself is not ideas. It's all. So don't get it. In fact, it should be organized in a way that it's not just, there you go, you know, on a piece of paper. It's organic. Because if you create a character in your show and with life of its own, it's amazing to follow and see what he doesn't. Okay? So, and you want in an interaction way. Okay? Now, okay, the 5 I's, so wraps up the whole creative process. Because impact is what gets you to the next level. So you guys can come in and story. Okay. That means that whatever story comes to my students, levels of enjoyment. Okay. Now, the first level of enjoyment, you see the lead on I am Brad Pitt's new movie. This is awesome, right? The movie Brad, but I'm like favorite movie. I know the director well. You know, it's always good. Center Boy and IMAX movie thing, right? So, in fact, I'm going to try get out of it. That's the first level is obviously when you're actually watching. You know, you like the like directing everything. So second level of retro. How many times have we watched it but you forgot what it is? What did I just watch? And like you're standing in theater doors, right? Most movies are like that. Third enjoyment is a week later, years later, a cool movie or majorly memorized. Third level. That's the impact I'm trying to say here, is to create enjoyment, you can understand that. The point of filmmaking with viral videos, you see a million videos. Okay. What will stand out? The video today, put it on camera, a week from now. So, now what will get, okay, theme. Right. You have to find the subtext or whatever you think, the core emotion of it. So usually when you tell me a story, what is your story? About this guy and murdered and he's trying to get this girl and you know, doesn't like that, right? What is your story really about? Is it about the guy gay or what? The story really about? It's about through the brought out. It's a self story. Proud. Right. I mean, it could be about anything. You could be hiding something. You're a closet ballet, but you can't act, right? But, right? So, the subtext of your story, most important. It happens in your story, not the way you meant. Right? So, time for some question. I never like to just, I'm sick of being myself. I want to, you know, ask. There's only 2 girls in this class.
Oh, I was trying to recruit more boys. A lot of the males that
I just want to be in front of the camera. Any questions about? I'm sorry? Maker or an actor? Anything? Well, I work with, in Hong Kong, I work with, just a lot. Wong Lee Hong, like, singer. American, I did with Bruce Campbell, star. Others, if I work with if I got a chance to work. But I work with a lot of John Woo, and I work with Alan, but very, 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 I like admire, so starstruck. But they sometimes could be making a commercial with big international stars commercial, and it was equally the same in a different way. I got one of the best hairstyle, the other one. I want one better than anyway, we'll match. Yeah, I mean they're bigger than the public's eye, but the face is and I'm my biggest fan, and I'll always remember that. Robbie Williams. I met him. He's got a new sequence about advertising. It's cool. Because he's been for a long time. Talked to him. He asked me, because I just started filming. I talked to him for about 15 minutes, and so his words, he's happy. That's what he did for me. So that's cool. I really like Drew, very cool. Not just the girl from ET, but she came a director, developing things. Which I didn't have a because the movies that the cinemas I did channels, so it was movie of the month. I guess that's cool. Not necessarily directing, but when I was working in Hong Kong, I did this work. It was about a true life Hong Kong. So I wrote that, and this box office hit. So it was pretty cool. Yes.
Like when you have an idea of writing a story, like you keep writing and writing, but like that, right? Like you just can't stuck there. How do you keep writing and fit?
That is important about one that I was telling you earlier. And after a log line, you could also write a treatment, prose into a story from the beginning. Start with the story. You should always love. First, that the cooling off period. Later you still. Then you should just, it's a while, you made passion for it, again, from what you in the first place. When you get frustrated, call it writer's block, you're not good because you can't get past something that's stuck, right? That, the end of the project, do you know what I mean? And with every movie, because when you watch it, wait a second, some parts might not work as good as the amazing, right? So that, at the end of the day, theater, premise. That's what I'm talking about. The core premise, the idea behind drives you to finish. You know what I'm saying? So is your movie really about finding out he's gay? No, guy finding out about anything. But it's a self that angle. We make up stories. Even on a true story, you still. We have an hour and a half or 10. So you have to edit your memory to how. It's a whole class structure, the whole screenplay. But, hopefully. And I tell you, the pro film education has so but it's a fun job.
After you finish writing, send it over to the directors, or
Changes, yes, we have to change. But we're just making a movie. We can't get enough actors, and we have to change it. Again, is that core idea of what is your film looking at? So that change, that core, then you have to protect it. Because there's a director changing egos about, mine. It's about how to make that. Okay. When that thing, finish a film, no, not because I don't own it, is that my image or is my communication, but how my audience perceives. I can next to every much as my films, or that's what I meant to do, whatever. I cannot explain that. It has, so therefore, it belongs to you. Yeah, apology, and you guys may not, the impact of this now, you will in time. Creative is like having a baby. No. It may not be about, of course, but at one point. Okay, it's not going to grow, but it's in you, and it's growing bigger and bigger. So, come out. Paper. Okay? So we read it. You can't just have a baby and not feed it. But you hope decent, right? Arms and feet intact, stories like that, or just hope that will grow up. But then, that person, that story, organic story, that's what other people will see. Baby, how you see your baby is the best baby in the world, that's your baby is the best. So that's the amount.
When I'm writing stories, I know it's a good thing to do the movie or a book they've read or something I really like about it. Take those elements, but the only thing I take that element, put it, people see it, and just go, oh, you just. So the thing I want to know, your own touch of originality.
That's a very good question. Quentin Tarantino is a master. He takes a lot of stuff, not from like 2 movies and put it into one. Yes, on the other side, or mutual or mutual. That when you look at it, if point of view, you can easily look at the different angle you take that it is resolved. Good example. Terrorist attack in Bonner, right? Interesting story. Doesn't know it. And I guarantee all you guys, based on that, let's make a film. Now listen, one of you might say, okay, from an angle of that it goes to screen. I'm going to write a story from the mind. Another one of the marathon, maybe it's a thriller of knowledge that at the they bomb, so he's racing to win the race, but to stop the bomb. So you see how you look at it just from another angle, you will come out. That's how you would inject your own. This process, what do you like about it? Inject more of what you like. Tackle everything else, everything, whether it's from a book or personal experience. You have to, yeah, I mean, it move the entire thing to your thing. I think, again, if you see this, it's also different as well. Like, what is the impact of it? Is it explosion? Something, inside, human feelings about characters. That's the case. If you take that and try to create that same feeling, if it's something that's too original source, then you'll find the way. Yes? Fascinating. Groups and thinking.